Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining this live event focusing on the new features of Business Central Wave 2 release. Our solution architect, Yashojit Pandre, will go through the following. Application enhancement that will benefit your business, improved integration with Microsoft Power Platform, enhancement in reporting capabilities. If you have any questions during the webinar, please do not hesitate to complete the question and answer section, and we will answer your questions at the end. I'll now hand you over to Yashojit, who will share his insights.
Okay, thank you, Bisola, for the introduction, and welcome everyone for this webinar of Business Central 2022 Wave 2 release. So we are going to look at two key areas today. We will take a look at the key updates of Business Central 2022 Wave 2 release. And there is a bonus takeaway, like how we can be prepared for the major and minor updates. So let us start right away. So the key takeaway one is we will look at the application updates. What are the new features in the application updates? We'll look at improvements to Power Platforms and integrations. What are the improvements in that area? And enhancements in the reporting capabilities. So the first section is application updates. As you can see, with every release, Microsoft makes enhancements to the features. They add new features to the software from application area as well as from performance or integrations area. We have picked up some topics here, like we will take a look at financial reporting replaces account schedules, find posted and non-posted document lines, extended text functionality for VAT clauses, flexible sorting in planning worksheet page, make entry of variant codes mandatory, post item charges for each step of process, improvements to Shopify connection, new VAT date field on documents, and use multiple remit to address for vendors. So this is our first point, like account schedules are renamed as financial reporting. Okay. Many of you who are already using Business Central, they must be aware with this terminology called as account schedules. This has been in existence for since long, almost as I remember from version 4.0 itself. For the new users, Business Central or Microsoft has made it easier so that they can relate more easily with the terminology of financial reporting rather than naming it as account schedules. So now when you search with the new release, as you go into the search bar and type financial reporting, you will still get this accounting schedule functionality. There is an added feature here that is copy column layouts. For setting up the account schedules, you need to create the columns and the rows in which you need to present your data. So this copy column functionality, once you set up those columns can be like previous years to current year comparison, or maybe monthly analysis. So you can copy those column layouts, which makes it easier to set up your account schedules. Then there is this feature. Pages with document lines are often used for specific analysis. Now, we usually get the pages where the list pages for sales orders or list pages for posted invoices, but they are all the header level pages. It gives the header level information. Now, Microsoft has published the line level pages as well. So you can see posted invoice lines. So you can see item details. What are the invoices posted at the item level? Posted sale shipment lines, purchase receipt lines, etc. So for example, if you want to do analysis, like what are my current outstanding items? on my purchase orders or sales orders. So now you can easily filter these out using the posted lines functionality. Just for your information, these pages were earlier available even in Navision or Business Central, but they were not published as such. A developer would be required to publish these pages. Now these are available as standard, so you can do more analysis at the item level. Extended text for VAT clauses. So the extended text feature is implemented on VAT clauses so that if any country requires a longer text, customers can enter the text as extended text. Users are able to see the text printed in sales and purchase reports. So for any VAT submission or VAT statements that you want to submit, if you want longer descriptions or on your documents like the invoice layouts, you want to have the extended description of a VAT clause that can now be done using this extended text functionality. Flexible sorting in planning worksheet. So you know the planning worksheet page, it is still slightly different than the requisition worksheet page because it can be used for multi-level production orders. So by default, lines are sorted by item number in the planning worksheet page. Now, if the items are sorted by item, lines are sorted by item number, it sometimes becomes a bit difficult for the user to relate the supply and demand, means from where the demand is coming and what is its related supply. Now, there is this additional feature given in the planning worksheet where you can sort on the basis of like the reference order number. So once you sort on reference order, it becomes easier to relate the demand and supply lines. The next feature is make entry of variant codes mandatory. Now, if you are using Business Central or even for the new users, the variants are nothing but extended SKUs of an item. Say, for example, a shirt, a simple example. A shirt can come in various colors like red, blue, green, white. So these can be created as variants. Variants have been in existence since the first releases or the previous releases of Navision and Business Central. But now this field can be made mandatory while you are entering the sales order or purchase order. So how you can do this? On the inventory setup, you can set it up at the global level. There is a field here called as variant mandatory. So you can turn it on, or you can set it up at the item level. So even on a particular item, you can go on an item card and there is this field available, variant mandatory. You can say yes, no. And if you make it mandatory, if you turn it on, then while you are doing a sales order entry or a purchase order entry, if the item has the variant codes, then the user must select the variant code so that the mistake of user skipping the variant code that is minimized. Post item charges for each step of process. You know, we can distribute or there is this functionality of item charges wherein you can load the charges like transportation charges or any carrier handling charges, means the charges which are directly related to your inventory landing cost. You can load them on the inventory value. Now this release wave brings you more flexibility on how and when to post the item charge. So for example, you have created a purchase order with 3 lines. 2 lines are for items and 1 line captures the item charges that are allocated across the items by amount. or it can be by volume or any other measure. So when the goods are delivered, you discover that the first item is missing. That means you have not received the first item. It can be by as per the transaction. So you find that the first item is missing so that you cannot mark it as received. You can receive and post the invoice for the second line only so that you can ship it to your customer and deal with the another item later. But how to handle the item charge in this case? So with the new feature, it is easy. There is a new field provided called as quantity to handle in the item charge assignment page. So you just set the quantity to handle field to 0. And now you can adjust the value of quantity to invoice field on the purchase order lines. So that makes it easier to assign the item charges. You can assign the item charge only for the items that you are receiving and load the correct costs on the inventory. Then you have a new VAT date field on document and entries. So as you can see here, there is a VAT date. This is a new field added on the purchase order, sales order, and then it flows to your ledger entries and also to the posted documents. So some countries may require reporting for VAT statements and VAT returns by using a date that is different than the posting date. Sometimes the date can be a document date, but even this date can differ from the requirement. For this reason, a new VAT date exists on all purchase and sales documents, as well as on journals. So before starting, user can set up the default value for VAT date to that of posting date and in the general ledger setup. But the date can be changed on individual documents and journals. So when a document is posted, a new VAT date will be visible in the VAT entries and in the GL entries. If necessary, it is possible to change the VAT date after posting as well. So it gives more flexibility for your VAT reporting. Then you can use multiple remit to addresses for vendors. So remit address are used when you print checks to pay your vendors. Vendors can have multiple remit to addresses for payments. For example, a vendor might supply an item from a subsidiary company, but wants to receive payments at their headquarters. So Business Central lets you set up multiple mailing addresses for each vendor, making it easy to choose the correct location to send the payments to on a invoice by invoice basis. So these were some of the application enhancements. There are a few more, but we found these quite helpful and easy to use. You can easily turn them on and start using them. Now our next key takeaway is the enhancements to Power Platform. As you know, Microsoft is day by day making the integrations between the Power Apps and Power Automate. It is getting better day by day. So there are some enhancements like Power Apps and Power Automate support for document attachment and media or image support for Business Central Connector. So being able to access the attachments, media, and other data that are linked to business records open new possibilities. So this new capability of connector allows for easy access to document attachments. For instance, if you have prepared or you have a Power App which captures the expenses. And as you know, the Power Apps can be used on multiple platforms. It can be used on the mobile, a tablet. So for example, you have created a simple application which captures wherein the user can log in, the users who are on the field or on the who travel quite a lot. They can capture their expenses. And now with this facility to attach the documents, this is just an example, a possibility I'm illustrating. They can capture the image and then that image can then flow, or they can capture an attachment, a document, and then that document can flow into Business Central. So for example, the expense that the user is capturing on the Power Apps, we can write a program to create the general journal for the expense ledger. And along with that, we can also pass the document as an attachment. It can be as simple as a train ticket, a photo of your train ticket for which you are traveling. And the second such enhancement is media or image support for Business Central connectors. So when accessing Business Central online data via Power Platform and Azure Logic Apps connector, you can manipulate the media files. So example, you can attach the media on or image files on item and customers. So this capability opens up the scenarios with Power Apps and Power Automate, wherein the user can take the picture on Power App. Say, for example, a picture of an item card of an item, and then that can be manipulated on the item card. So more such functionalities are being developed over a period of time. The third is notify Business Central of Dataverse entity changes. As you know, the connections between Microsoft suite of softwares, like say Microsoft CRM for sales and Business Central, they are becoming more and more enhanced day by day. So one such enhancement is whatever changes happens on say a business Microsoft Dynamics 365 cells that can be notified into Business Central. So getting new data or updates to existing data to Business Central quickly is vital in some business scenarios. So this is particularly true in scenarios that include integrations. So scheduled data synchronization doesn't meet the bar in today's fast-paced world. The capability enables Business Central to immediately pick up the data that's added or changed in Dataverse or Dynamics 365 cells. Say, for example, the salespeople are capturing some information about the contacts or their customers. It can be as real time as possible made available in Business Central, or the notifications can be raised in Business Central. So we have seen those Power Platforms, so it is opening up more and more possibilities of integration and data exchange in a real-time fashion. Then our next topic is enhancements in reporting capabilities. So use new dedicated APIs for financial reporting or choose report layout on request page. So with dedicated APIs for finance reporting, it's easy to create your own Excel-based financial reporting. You can also consume the APIs in Power BI through the Business Central Power BI connector. So the new APIs and data sets are created for selected data. The first data set consists for general ledger data, including GL budgets and dimensions, accounting periods and business units, customer, vendor, and ledger entries, including detailed ledger entries, webhook subscriptions, and entity definitions. So with these APIs, it's easy to get data from Business Central. Choose report layout on request page. As you know, you can create multiple report layouts using either the Word layout or Excel layouts. So now users can choose which report layout to use on the request page. So once you open a request page, for example, I am printing a invoice. So on the request page, I can select the layout which is required for that particular customer, for example. So this feature will enable your organization to have multiple layouts for the same report data set. For example, you could have a layout for planning meeting, another layout for mail merge, and third layout for a board meeting. So those were some of the application and integration enhancements in Business Central. Now we will move to our next topic, that is the key takeaway 2, how to be prepared for major and minor updates. So as you know, the major updates are typically made available twice a year, that is in April and October, and minor updates roll out every month. However, you are in control and you can manage how your organization receives these updates. So as you can see from this image here, there are these timelines for the major updates and timelines for the minor updates. So for example, a release that is available in April, the updates may start from 8th of April, but then you have a upgrade window. So what is that upgrade window? So usually you have 2 months. So for the update released in April, you have the upgrade window until June. So within this window, you can schedule your updates. That is, you can change the update date, that is the one that is default coming from Microsoft, to the one that you want to choose. Say, for example, I can choose a date of say 15th of May. So that gives me a breathing period in between to test my application, to make sure that my customizations or the users have got adapted to the new features. But then after a certain period, that is called as outside upgrade window. So then the Microsoft tries to force the rollout onto your instance. Of course, you keep on receiving the notifications, etc. about those so that you can take the actions in timely manner. So these timelines help us to understand how we can set up our upgrade window, how we can make use of this upgrade window. So you can schedule the updates. So when the updates become available for your environment, a notification email is sent to all notification recipients that you have registered in Business Central Administration Center. So you can set up who could be those notification recipients. At Mercurius, we usually have this practice that along with the customer's key users or the stakeholders, we also keep our service managers or account managers as the notification recipients, so that the person who is responsible for that customer, he can then communicate with the customer about the upcoming notifications, about the upcoming updates. And if there are any discrepancies or any challenges, those can be addressed earlier. These notifications about update availability is also shown in Business Central Administration Center itself. So you can open the Administration Center and see what are the schedule dates. Okay. And this is where you can then change what should be your update date for your production environment. So there could be instances of failed updates and rescheduling. An environment may fail to update for various reasons like per tenant extension compatibility issues, app source app compatibility issues, internal update issues. So any environment that fails to update will be automatically restored to original application version so that users can connect to it again. The environment is then automatically rescheduled for new update attempt in 7 days. unless you decide or you take the actions and move the dates forward. So if you consider the issue resolved and want to try the update again, change the update date to an earlier date or the correct date. So if Microsoft is not able to update the environment on the selected date, you will be notified by email that the environment update is rescheduled for 7 days later. So then you can change that date in Business Central Administration Center to any allowed date, including the current date. So how do you can prepare, test, and learn before a major update? So option 1 is you can prepare for major updates with preview environments. So what are these preview environments? Like these are the demonstration environments. It does not, as you can see the note here, it does not support the production data yet. So about 1 month before a major update, you can try out new functionality in preview environments. You can use the newly created sandbox environment for exploring and learning the new product capabilities. So you can then explore what are the new features, new product capabilities like that, but that will be on the demonstration data. And you can also use the preview environment to validate that any pertinent extensions are still working as expected. So you can still, if you have done any customizations or built your own extensions, you can publish those extensions on these preview environments and verify whether those, if there are any compatibility issues or whether those are working fine or not, and address the problem as early as possible in the for your major and be prepared for your major update. The option 2 is prepare for major updates just before production environment is updated. So when a major update is available, create a sandbox environment that you then schedule to be updated. So you can create a sandbox environment with your production data once the update is available and push forward the update date of your production environment. So then within that window, you copy the production environment into a sandbox and set earlier update date for the sandbox. You can then test the extension compatibility, new features, etc. on the sandbox environment and set a future date for production environment. So this gives you some time in between to test your extensions, try out the new functionality, do end-to-end tests and make sure that your update is ready or your sandbox is ready for update on production. So that's it. Any questions?
Thanks, Yashojet. Yes, there's a few questions. One being, usually, how much time does it take to fix the capability issues in extensions, if any?
Okay, so that depends on what kind of customizations you have built. So, and at what level that customization is having issues or compatibility issues with the new features. So it could be related to things like if it is a new field or a field becomes obsolete in the new version of Business Central. So then you have to tackle about how will you manage that field data which you were using previously in your extension. Or it could be related to a syntax or an event that was subscribed earlier is not available at all in Business Central in the new version of Business Central. So all of those things, usually when you receive the notification from Microsoft about the compatibility issues, these things are highlighted by Microsoft. Or as we say, if we do it during the pre-tenant preparations, pre-environment preparations or on the sandbox, you can then well ahead observe what are those compatibility issues and fix them. But it depends on the level of your customizations and at what level the compatibility issues are arising.
Thank you.
But it is definitely become lesser than what the previous traditional upgrades would have been, because these are handled through extensions.
Okay, thank you for that. The second question, does the Power App and Power Automate require licenses?
Yes, so Power Apps and Power Automate, they require licenses. But if you want the pricing details, there are various options for those licensing. It can be like per tenant or per user. So depending on your requirement, then you can choose what type of license you want to use. So in case of Power App, there are two licenses, like it is per app. Like if you are going to have one app on the cloud, then you only pay for that app, which can be used by multiple users, or you can choose a per user license, wherein every user is then means every user that you make set up in the Power Apps pays a license fee. That is a subscription or monthly basis subscription. But if you want to have the details about the amounts, you can definitely email Ahmed.
Yes, we'll have Ahmed's email shortly. This third question, why should I opt in and test the features ahead of time?
Yeah, that is to make sure that your upgrade is becoming smooth. Because as I said earlier, depending on the level of your customizations, what features are available, or if you need any workaround for the functionality that you have developed. So all of those things you can try well ahead in time. That is why we'll suggest that for major updates, we have, means historically, we have seen that the minor updates, they usually go well without any intervention, without any interference. They get updated quite easily. There are hardly one or two areas that we have to see. But in case of major updates, say for example, in the previous update, there was a change in price functionality. So that involved some work around, means even from the data migration point of view, like the customer's data would have to be migrated as per the new table structure, etc. The same was in case of permissions. So to make sure that our update becomes smooth, it is error free, and we don't face challenges when the production is set for update, you should choose to test the features ahead of time.
Excellent. The final question is, what will happen if I cross the grace period for upgrade and my extension issue is still unresolved?
Okay. So I have my few colleagues as well on the call. So Anish or Naval, if you can take up this question.
Unfortunately, they're not.
Okay,
they're not
so
on the
I'll
call.
myself answer this. So in such cases, what may happen is your extension may become invalid, and Microsoft still then upgrades your environment, and then that extension which is having the issue may become unavailable. Unavailable means you cannot publish that extension. The data is not lost, but because you are not able to publish the extension, you cannot use it until you fix the issue.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Yayo. If you have any further questions or would like to book a demo, please contact Ahmed, whose contact details are now on the screen. Thank you for attending. And for previous webinars, please visit our YouTube channel, and you can access that through our website or our social platforms. Thanks again for attending.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.